Gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Awaken Soul podcast. And I have a first time guest in the building. You guys know I get excited when it's a first time
Yes,
guest.
sir.
We got from the Cognac Boys. Bobby's in the building. What's going on, brother?
What up, man? What's up? What's up?
So it's funny because this is like the first time I'm bringing somebody over from like the Chicago Bulls podcast world into this
Yeah.
podcast.
Hey,
But I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is you don't want to paint people in a box if talking just sports. So it's good. It's good to have this. And, you reached out and said you'd be interested in the idea. So I'm like, yeah, let's do it, man.
hey, whenever, man. Look, I could provide a different perspective since, I'm active military. So I got a different perspective from things I see.
Definitely. So we'll be talking about mental health. But before we get into that, I always ask everyone an icebreaker question when it's their first time on the podcast. So I'm going to ask you when. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
All right. If you had if it was going to get the Bulls a title for sure, would you rather bet on Zion Williamson being healthy 100% or AD being 100% healthy?
Golly. Do we get a 4-month break?
The only thing that's guaranteed is they'll be fully healthy by the finals and we'll win the title. But you got to deal all season with the up and down.
I'll go AD.
You go AD?
Yeah, he already got
from Chicago.
That too, but he a Packers fan, so I'm like,
yeah, man, come on, you can't trust Packers fans from Chicago, man.
You know what I'm saying? So I definitely go AD, but just because he on a different level, he's won before. If you look at both of them, I don't see both of them being like crazy vocal leaders. Yeah. But from what the Bulls need, because I be so frustrated with Vooch sometimes, just give me AD.
Man, listen, we'll get into it. We'll have to talk about that off air because I could talk a whole days about the stress that Vooch gives me sometimes. Man,
I'm telling you.
3 new gray beard hairs, bro, and I know at least 2 of them for Vooch, bro. I know for a fact at least 2 of them for Vooch.
For real, I believe you 100%.
Who do you think the best Chicago rapper from Chicago is? You got Twista, you got Common, you got a bunch of them. Just name some. Who do you think the best rapper from Chicago
the most
is?
Impactful? I would go Kanye. The hottest right now, I got to ride with Lil Durk.
Man, yeah. I mean, it's hard not to say Lil Durk is the hottest right now. That goes without saying. Like he's on
the man
just
level. He did country. Now he on some video with 50 Cent and Jeremiah. Yeah. He hot right now. He buzzing. But I never denied Kanye of his production. Man, the production just be so sick with the samples, and even when he don't sample, it just be so wild. Like it's crazy.
The only artist you can really put up there as far as sampling with Kanye, I would think, is Dr. Dre.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's really it. I mean, there are other great dope producers that do sampling, but it's really just those because those 2 sample a song, and they pull every bit of soul they can get out of whatever sample
it was just
man.
Because I listen to Donda and I actually like it more than Certified Lover Boy. By the way.
Oh, it's definitely
my
better
people out there.
Yeah.
Man, the production was just so cold, and that's what drew me to listen to Donda more than CLB.
For sure. All right, man. Let's get into this topic. So I was appreciated when you brought it up because talking about mental health, especially as Black men, is rare, and then you really don't get to hear people who are active duty military talk about mental health. I tried to get my dad to do it. I don't know if you know or not. I'm a military brat. Like I never served. But my dad, like I tried to get him on the podcast to talk about it. And like my dad has serious PTSD. So he just even bringing up war, he still to this day, he doesn't really like to talk about it. Yeah. But I think like I always say as Black men, we have like an inherent form of PTSD, genetic PTSD, just dealing with shit. But with the military, like almost the point of the military to a degree is it kind of breaks you down to build you back up. Right. And so for some people that almost breaks them mentally even more. Some people it makes them stronger. So like with you, I think first we have to get into the decision. What made you decide to go active duty military?
Well, at the time, my wife, she was pregnant with my son, and my cousin, he's in the Army, so he was doing pretty well, and he was doing pretty well with 2 kids at the time and his wife. So I'm like, man, like I moved out of Chicago because I was like, there's no way I'm raising my son on the south side of Chicago. So I moved to Madison, Wisconsin, where it was cold as hell. And then I was like, I just need something a little more. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be a long-term goal to where I do 20, but let me just go in, use it as a stepping block just to better myself, find my way. And then let's just see what happens after the end of my contract.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Where have you been stationed at?
First base was
Oh,
Kunsan, Korea, and this was when
oh shit.
North Korea was launching the missiles
Damn.
over the southern part of the peninsula. And
Jesus.
but I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. We did more drinking than worrying.
Okay. I mean, that's really all you can do at that point. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
that was it.
it's yeah, there's nothing else you could do. As far as your mental health, where was your mental health at? Like, especially looking back now that you've had some time away and you've grown, where would you rank your mental health at even before going into the military? Where do you think you were at?
It was something that was bottled up. Honestly,
Mm.
that shit was bottled up because in Chicago, you know what I'm saying. You see a lot of stuff. Like you believe it or not, bro. I got jumped going to church
God damn.
in Chicago. I was walking to church. I'm on the phone with a chick. I walked past a McDonald's. Somebody said, "Check it out." I said, "I ain't checking nothing out." Try to take off, but they caught up with me. But it happens, you know. So a
Yeah.
lot of that stuff you don't really talk about. You know what I'm saying? You bottle like all that stuff was bottled up. So then like when I joined the military, like in the military, particularly the Air Force, suicide is like going rampant right now amongst the active members in the service.
Hmm.
So at that point, now all this stuff from being bottled up for so many years of dealing with a single mom who had to work two jobs, pops doing whatever he wanted to do. Now this stuff is coming up to where I'm developing anxiety, having
Hmm.
like different things that I never experienced it before physically as well. So it was definitely challenging.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think like especially when you're younger, as black men, we deal with that bottled up anxiety and everything in one of like three different ways. It's either alcohol, weed,
Mm-hmm.
or sex, or a combination of all three of them. And we just
Definitely.
and people look at it and they look at it as like sowing royal oats and shit. And it's like, nah, I really just don't know how else to deal with the
All
bullshit that I'm
right.
going
There you
through
go.
every day. Like
Every
if
day.
it feels good as shit to get drunk when you're dealing with craziness every goddamn
Telling
day.
you. Telling
So
you.
okay, let's then jump to your decision to go into the military. You go through basic training. You still were had bottled up anxiety and everything when you were in basic training, away from your kid, away from your wife, still dealing with the stuff that you've dealt with for years or been not dealing with for years in many ways. What did basic training do for your mental
For me personally, honestly, that it felt like prison. I never
health?
been to prison. Don't want to go to prison, but
Uh-huh.
from it was like, man, like I got 8 weeks. Let me make the best out of this 8 weeks. And basically, I poured everything that was bottled up in me into physical, activities every day. Every day we worked out. So I went harder on push-ups. I went harder on runs, like
Yeah.
to the point I was like, man, like I'll be in and my arms will be throbbing by the time we'll be done and stuff like that. So I just bought like I was letting that stuff go in that. But it got worse once I could finish basic training, to be
It
honest
got
with you.
worse? How in what
Yeah.
ways did it get worse?
So basically after basic training, man, I went to technical school in Virginia and I took care of that stuff. My wife, she came down to see me with my son. And then like so the entire training for my particular job, I think it was about 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen my wife a couple times. They came down a couple times, but then like 2 weeks before I was about to get out, I found out I was going to Korea.
Mm. Okay.
And when you go to Korea, you can't take family.
Mm.
And like if they give you the option of applying to take family to
Mm.
stay, an extra year or so. But the particular rank that I was at that time, a lot of times you get denied.
It makes
So
sense.
like and then so I flew out to Korea on my birthday, November 11th. 9 days later was my son's first birthday.
Damn.
So it was tough, man. It
Yeah, I
was tough.
bet. I bet I could. That shit. My dad was stationed a year in Korea, and we couldn't go with him.
Yep.
But this is way past, so we can't get in trouble for it now. I actually flew to Korea. I was probably 8 or 9 years old by myself, and he snuck me in, and I got to stay with him for a week during Christmas break.
That's good, man.
Yeah, that's just crazy though. But
Hey, I seen it happen. People
yeah, I
was
mean,
sneaking their wives in the dorms.
exactly. That's just crazy, man. All right, so now you go away, you get stationed. Your son's birthday, you miss that, right?
Right.
And you're alone. Did that time alone help or hurt your mental health more? Because it can go either way. I think more times it hurts, but what did it do for you?
It hurts, man. Cause like
Yeah.
at that point you'd be like, I'm missing this milestone. I'm missing my son take like on his birthday. He took his first steps. I didn't get to see it. Uh, because I was like, bro, like I said, my dad he wasn't really there, so I have to be better than this guy.
Yeah.
That's totally how it was. So I had to that was my mindset. It's still my mindset to this day. So while I was in Korea, it was feeling down a lot, thinking about stuff, and like I said in the beginning of the show, we drank every day, every day. This is the schedule was wake up, go to work, after work, go change, go hoop, and then go to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
And that was every day for an entire year. Like it was crazy. So when I came back from doing the year, like I came back I did 5 months. I came back to Chicago for like 2.5 weeks, then went right back out to finish my term. So when I finally came back before we moved back down, when we moved to South Carolina, man, I had to adjust to everything. How to talk to my wife, how to treat my wife, how to approach my son, how to raise my son, how to be more patient. Like I had no patience because I'm in Korea, I'm by myself, I'm with the guys every day. Like you just talk shit to them all day, but you can't. I couldn't approach my family like that. So it was a big, a lot of adjusting that I had to do.
That makes sense. That makes it. What was the what helped you get over the hump of having that adjustment period?
I went to counseling.
Okay, see, and that's I love that you said that, man, because black men especially need to hear it's fucking K to go to counseling.
It was a big thing, man, because you be like, man, I don't know this person, I don't want to talk to this person, and then the person, it was one of my supervisors. He was like, look, just call his number. It's not gonna go on your record, and if you don't like the first person you talk to, they'll help you find somebody right off the bat. I'm like, all right, cool, forget it. I'll just try it out. Tried it out the first time, and I ended up staying for like 12 sessions.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What was the biggest thing you learned about yourself in those sessions?
I need to be honest with myself. I need to slow down and realize that you're not gonna make that change in a day.
Yeah.
You gotta be a goal setter. All right, this week I'm gonna do this. All right, this week I'm gonna listen, but then I'm gonna ask for something from my wife, to help me get back to where I needed to be. Because I had the switch was flipped off from like emotion, because you already know if you marry, you have to show emotions, and then if you have kids, you have to show emotions and have patience. It was just you had to set some goals, man.
For sure. What was like as you started hitting your breakthrough through those sessions? What was, because at least for me, right? I can only speak for me. When I first started going to therapy, it was probably about 2, maybe 3 months in, and it finally happened. Like I was in that motherfucker, and I just started boo-hoo crying. Like somebody like, and I'm not saying everybody has to go through the time of crying, but like, what was that? Because I think like therapy is meant to break down your walls, and in breaking down those walls, those emotions come floodgating in, right? And it's kind of overwhelming to a degree. How far into your sessions did you have that moment?
Man, it was the breakthrough. So we was going through the session. I'm, just flowing through the motions and stuff. But there was an incident that happened outside of the therapy. It's where I had got a bit too drunk, and I ain't ashamed to say it. I got a bit too drunk, and you know what I'm saying. Basically, I was passed out drunk as fuck, like, and it was bad. It's the point where my wife had to wake my son up, and they had to come get me in the middle of the fucking night.
That's crazy.
Because man. I was passed out drunk somewhere. And that was the breakthrough moment. I'm like, this shit is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, my wife got to see this, but not only my wife got to see this, my son got to see this shit. This is not the example I want my son to see. It's cool to have drinks, but you should not be passed out at somebody's house to where they got to call your wife and be like, yeah, Bobby passed out at my house. Yeah. You gonna come get him, or what you gonna do?
Do we need to get him a blanket? I mean,
like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was the breakthrough moment for me. And then I continued the sessions, and then it was just improvement after improvement after improvement after that.
That's what's up. Do you think mental health in the military, again, this is something I don't have a perspective on because I never served. Do you think they give you enough tools to protect in the stay on top of your mental health? Is it still frowned upon? What do you think like the whole culture is in the military when it comes to mental health and therapy and stuff like that?
So the it's grown over time, but it still
Mm-hmm.
has ways to go. Because like, for instance, there was a guy who can it depends on who your leadership is. Like
Okay.
the bit like big Air Force, like the people who got all the rank and stuff, they be like, yeah, make sure you people take care of themselves mentally. But it still hasn't trickled down to the more intimate supervisors.
Okay.
Because they still be like, well, we got a job to do. The mission is this, the mission is that. Not understanding that, like, man, at one point, you can bro, you can take a break. You know what I'm saying? Allow your troops to get some time to themselves. Because
Mm-hmm.
for an instance, like it was one guy last September, he was pushed to the edge. He took his own life because like I
Yeah.
was never in I wasn't in a room, but it, you hear rumors when things happen, and the rumor
Mm-hmm.
was is like he pleaded to them like, y'all are putting a lot on me, help me out. And there was no like response to that, and he thought it was best to just take himself out.
That's that's sad, man. I mean, you want to say you understand people getting pushed to that limit, but it just sucks that we're not at a place as a culture, right, where people have the tools that they need to be able to avoid that. They feel like
Mm-hmm.
that's the only exit out of the shit that they're going through.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
because they don't understand that. Yeah, we know that we got. There gonna be times to where we gotta work some extra hours or accomplish a mission. But there's
Mm-hmm.
times to where like people go through their own shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you're a good leader, you gotta help your mans. You gotta help them the best way you can. You just can't say, "Well, figure it out." As what was the rumor that was said in the room when he asked for more help.
Damn. Damn. That's sad, man. That's sad.
Yeah, it's a tough
That's sad.
situation.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think are some things that civilians don't understand about the military that are misconceptions when it comes to soldiers that the public has?
First of all, it's the damn pay. Everybody think the military rich. No,
Yeah,
the pay and the benefits are good. Don't get me wrong. But people be acting like we just flat out make six figures, we get everything we want, but that is not the case.
yeah,
But when it comes down to like a lot of people just assume that like everybody in the military is just this badass or this tough guy. And no,
hmm
you really got like soft, like genuine men and women in the military. But when it's time to do the job, they go do the job. That's just that's the biggest misconception. Those two things.
yeah. I feel that. I feel that. Do you think? Because I know my dad had a huge readjustment period going into civilian life. Does that scare you at all? Like whenever I know you may be far away from that, but when it's time for you to get back into the civilian life, does it worry you at all? You'll have a even longer adjustment period.
I think so because I'm thinking of it now because I'm
Mm-hmm.
coming up close to either re-enlisting or separating.
Okay.
So it's a man like I'm sitting down with supervisors, whoever I
Mm-hmm.
can to and my wife and just to see like what's the pros, what's the cons, what I got going for myself. And
Yeah.
if I do eventually get out, honestly, like I done been in the military for almost 5 years now. It'd be like, man, like what is it like on the outside? We're not
Yeah.
having to follow a certain structure or do certain things to where like now in the military, you be like, hey, can we go do this? You can't. You better like, no, you can't do that. And I'm a supervisor, so a lot of the time, if I separate, it's gonna be like, even if I do go supervise somewhere else, it's solely focused on me now because it's supervision in the military is totally different from civilian supervision. Because
Yeah.
when you're in the military, you gotta treat your troops damn near like they're your grown kids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. I try not to share other people's stories, but I got this one. I want to share it. So, I used to work with this guy named Ernest. When I was worked at the Bush Stadium in St. Louis, we worked together, and he was in the military and he went to prison. So he was in the military, got out, and then he went to prison and got out. And he used to tell everyone it was harder for him to just getting out the military than it was for him getting out of prison.
wow, did he mention why?
For him, I think he said that for him it was not having someone to tell him what to do.
Yeah.
And so like he was used to the freedom or whatever, but so when he got out of prison, it was more like, all right, I'm free now. I know what not to do. But he said it was harder to kind of adjust and learn what to do getting out of the military. And he was somebody who I think he enlisted right when he was 18, like literally right when he got out of high school. So he didn't have his whole adult life at first was the military, and he blamed. Not really blamed it, but he talked about how it contributed to him eventually going to prison because he just didn't know how to adjust. And it was like, I mean, I have no form of reference for that, but I say that to segue into this. Do you think should the military do more to prepare soldiers to get back to civilian life?
I think so. Back then, they didn't have a lot of options, but now they have a lot of options. And I give them credit to that. Like, they've been listening to a lot of people. Like, the last Chief Master Sergeant over the Air Force was this black guy, and he was nicknamed Black Jesus. Like, it was crazy because he led so well. He not only listened to the people at the top, but he went down towards the lower ranking and listened to them and made adjustments. And that's what, what appealed to a lot of people. But it's a program out there that gives like troops that's getting out. Like, you can go and intern 6 months at a company and the military will still pay you for 6 months.
Oh, damn, that's what's up.
Like, you can do multiple places. You can do a month here, a month there, or you can just stick with one place for 6 months. And they partnered up with like different companies, Google, Microsoft, like it's a bevy of companies that they partnered up with. So back then they didn't have none of that stuff, but now they have that stuff to where. So I think it's changed. It still has its ways to go, but I feel like it's still pretty good. And then you still got like the GI Bill, and there's two different kinds of that. And you know what I'm saying? And they one of the best ones, man. They'll pay you rent while you go full time. That's like, you can still grab a little part-time job. They pay your rent full time. You go to school, you okay.
That's what's up. That's good to hear that they have programs for that.
They just started that the program that I was talking about with the internship. It's called Bridge Program or something like that. They just started that like 2 years ago. So it's still kind of new, but man, it's a good program. I hear a lot of good stuff about it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Any young man listening to this that's thinking about going into the military, what are some cons, some pros, and things that they just need to look out for before they decide to make that decision?
The pros is that obviously you get the benefits. You can travel. You can create a foundation for yourself for whatever you want, whether you want to do the 20 or whether you want to do just a contract. They have a number of stuff that you can do for yourself. Couple cons is that, like, depending on your job, might be a little crappy, but that's anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sometimes you might run into some lousy leaders. You know what I'm saying? That outrank you and stuff. I go back to the pros. Like, it's depending on the branch. Nowadays, you can rank up so fast, and man, it's not bad. They pay for your housing. They give you a meal allowance. You know what I'm saying? They put you in a position to, but if you want to do 20 and stay in and retire, or you want to go ahead and have a short one. It's a few cons, but it's like pet peeve stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, it depends on what you want to deal with, you know?
That makes sense. I like to link everything back to fatherhood because my kids are the most important thing in my world, as they are with most fathers. I want to say this and let me know what you think about this. I think we are part of the generation that's really starting to turn the conversation and the public appearance of absentee black fathers. I know more active black fathers than what my mama made it seem like coming up. Oh, we lost our guest. We lost Bobby. There he goes.
How about that?
Oh, you good, Bobby. So I was saying, as black men, us crushing the appearance of the absentee black father, right? That's been like the public, the thing with black fathers. And I really think that at some point we need to have a conversation about why that's not true. And this is why I do talk about fatherhood so much. And I love having people who are fathers on here because, listen, black fathers are fucking amazing. I don't know where they be finding these people, man. Listen, in this generation, I don't have not one single absentee black father in my circle, man.
man. And I tell you right now, if you don't take care of your kids, you can't hang with me.
Facts. That's
Like you don't have to be with the woman, but you gotta take care of your kids. Cause I'm like I'm big on breaking cycles, man.
yeah,
And I can't associate with people who don't take care of their kids. You know what I'm saying? So, but the big thing, man, like a lot nowadays, it's a lot of people that's, you know what I'm saying, taking care of their family. And
for sure.
especially black men. And it's like man, for one example that I'm so proud of, man. When I handle my kids at daycare, they
Hmm.
be like, man, the teacher be like, man, you handle your kids so well. I be like, man, because I'm creating something that I want my son to pass down. That my daughter, even though she's a woman, she can pass down.
For
I
sure.
want my kids. I pride myself on my first and last name. That's one thing can't nobody take away from me.
Say
So
that. Yeah.
the way I raise my kids, we're gonna have fun, but it's gonna be some structure. And it's like I'm only 27, but I had an old school mom and an old school grandma, and they ain't play that. So a lot of the stuff, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing a lot of
yeah.
stuff my way, but a lot of stuff I'm still passing down because I refuse to just because I didn't like something as a kid. That means what? I'm gonna be a friend to my kid? No, because I see a lot of people trying to, just not try to raise their
Yeah.
kid. They want to be like, well, my kid can do this because when I was a kid, it went like this and that didn't work for me. But you still missing the point to where your kid should have structure. But
For
I pride
sure.
myself on doing things like that because you see a lot of, well, from my experience, I see some parents, they be out there with their kids and they can't control them. Like some fathers, believe it or not, they can't last 5 minutes by themselves
With their
while their
children,
wife go out. While their
man,
wife
it's
go out,
crazy.
man, when my wife go out, we good over here. You know what I'm
It's
saying? We good.
crazy to see that, man. Like, and I think for me too, like you said, like me and my kids have struck the balance, and I got four, right? The age range from 15 to 8, and
Mm-hmm.
we have fun, we talk crap, we joke with each other. But I've never had to whoop. No, let me not say never. There's been a couple of times I had to whoop them, but generally I don't have to whoop my kids because they know like it's a look, and that's all I need to give them. I need to be like,
Yep.
and I'll change the tone of my voice, like, all right, hey, think about what you're doing, and especially with my sons, because for me, part of my breakdown mentally was because I just didn't know how to deal with emotion. All only emotion I knew how to show for the first 21 years of my life was anger. That's it. That's all I knew how
I
to
was
show.
with you, man.
And
I was definitely with you.
so because I know what I had to go through with that, like I give my sons the space to be upset. I give them the space to be down. I give them, but what we do is when we have conversations about how they feel, I ask them, well, okay, why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Are you down on yourself? Why are you down on yourself? What did you do? What did you think you could do better about that? And I kind of let them work through it, and then I give them guidance. I think like you have to love and parent your children. And some people
Yeah.
they want to love their children so much they forget to raise them, and you have to do both. That if you learn to strike that balance, you unlock doors with your kids that it's amazing. They're gonna make them stronger people. And like for my daughters, I feel sorry for the dude that marries either one of my daughters because they gonna have such a thing to live up to. Like I was just ordering my daughters Valentine's Day gifts now, and it's like I do for my daughters like I would want the man that loves them, right, that eventually comes into
Right.
their lives and want to marry them, for them to do for them. And I have to set that example so they know how a man should love a woman, right? Because there are
Yeah.
a lot of women out here who search for love in the wrong places, and they get
Mm-hmm.
stuck in some badass relationships, all behind the guise of love. So I'd really try to parent my kids in a way that like I think is equipping them to be the most well-rounded people.
Right.
But we still have a lot of fun in that too. Like we have days where we just practical joke with each other all day, and I really love the balance that I've been
That's
able
good,
to
man.
strike with my children, man. But it took work to get there, and it took a lot of work in me internally first, because my oldest, he was born when I was 19, and those
Mm-hmm.
first 2-3 years of his life, he probably was like, "Listen, I'm so glad my dad is not that nigga that he was back then," because man, man, it's crazy,
Telling
man.
you, as
Yeah,
long as you continue to grow, your kids see that stuff too.
for
Like
sure,
same
for
thing with
sure.
you, man. Like I believe in talking to my kids, but I'm not gonna let them get buck wild. Even though my son 5, I have to
Mhm.
stop him at times. Like some people just be like they let their kids roam and do whatever just because they little. No, you have to start that. You have to set those boundaries young. You
For
can't
sure.
you can't let it go on for 8 years and then out of nowhere try to stop it. No, it's
Exactly.
it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So
Yep. But there you go, man. Anything left you got left? I know we got a Bulls game to prepare for, man.
Yes,
Anything
sir.
left you want to say? Get off your chest. Any thoughts? Anything left on your mind, brother?
Yeah, first and foremost, man, just thanks for having me on, man. You're doing
Anytime.
big things with this and big things on your Bulls thing. I definitely be chiming in on your lives every now and then. Most of the time, that be me commenting,
Okay.
because I'm the night owl. Like I be up
Okay.
early, but I'm up late all the time. So I do appreciate it. For anybody out there that's listening or watching, just take care of your mental health. It's very important. I'm telling you. If you go in, if you're feeling jittery about anything or something that's on your mind, go in there. If you don't like the person, don't be afraid to walk away. Cause I had one. It was, you know what I'm saying? I feel like she was a bit racist. So I had to, nah, this ain't me. Why every time a comment come out your mouth, it gotta be, well, my black clients, that type of stuff. Everyone's not like that, Like, cause I've ran to, other people, cause I've been several times for multiple reasons. Cause I have to be better for myself and my children and my wife. So I don't want to carry things over. So go take care of your mental health. If you're dealing with something, talk to somebody. If you can't talk to nobody, hey, if you pray, pray. If you need to write it down, write it down.
Yep. And for anyone who thinks that going to therapy makes you seem weak, I would say that it shows a vast amount of strength to be able to go to therapy, and it shows a great amount of awareness to be able to go to therapy too. And hey, listen, find black therapists. That's all I got to say with that. Like if like, I'm not saying solely, like there are great therapists that aren't black, but for sometimes people do need to see somebody and talk to somebody that looks like them. Don't be
Right.
keep looking. If that's what you need, if that's something you require, keep doing it. I'm going to leave with a quote. I'm going to quote this one. This one is, just because no one else can heal or do inner work for you doesn't mean you can, should, or need to do it alone. We're a community. We're brotherhood. We got to do it together. And that's why I love having conversations like this. Bobby, go ahead and give me your social media, man. Let's go ahead and head out.
Hey, man, y'all can follow me and then my co-host who's not here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We even on TikTok now at Cognac Boys with a K. That's on all platforms. If y'all want to check us out, talk some sports, just hit us up.
All right, there you have. You guys know you can follow me. You can follow me at CEO Hayes, that's CEOHAIZE. You can follow this podcast at Awaken So Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. TheAwakenSoPod@gmail.com. We are the #1 podcast for the culture, and we out. Peace.